What are college games without rivals? I mean, really, think about it. You got North Carolina Duke, Notre Dame USC, you also have Alabama and Auburn, otherwise known as the Iron Bowl. And in Northeast Ohio, you have Akron-Kent in basketball. And in D3 football in the 70s and 80s, it was Baldwin, Wallace-Wittenberg.
It was the Ohio State, Michigan of Division III football back then.
Coach Tressel even referred to it as, when he talked about Wittenberg, he talked about that team down south as opposed to the team up north.
Separated by about 170 miles in 2.5 hours, you wouldn't think BW and Wittenberg was that big of a deal back then, but it certainly was.
I was familiar with it because my brother David was on the team playing for Coach Tressel in the mid-70s, and the years that he was here, BW Wittenberg again was a great rivalry. And in 1977, Baldwin, Wallace, and Wittenberg had a great team, had great teams back then as well.
However, the most iconic game in the history of the rivalry came in 1978. Just 3 weeks after tying in the OAC championship, Baldwin, Wallace, and Wittenberg were playing for the national championship in the Amos Alonzo Stag Bowl.
In terms of what we went through, I don't think a lot changed from our regular season preparation to the to when we got into the playoffs. We kind of approached each game the same way that we normally did throughout the week, and we were just happy to be playing ball, something we loved doing, and having a chance to advance and to potentially get to the national championship.
The Baldwin-Wallace Yellow Jackets, and their season record, as you see, the same. 10-0-1. Again, they played to that 17-17 tie. This game, however, cannot end in a tie. There are tie-breaking possibilities, and we will explain.
The weather was in the 40s that day down in Phoenix City, Alabama, but the players didn't mind a bit.
In fact, John Sander, our running back, one of our real stars of that team, he actually cut his shirt off because we were in Alabama. It felt like, it's supposed to be warm, even if it wasn't going to be. And it didn't matter one bit because, coming from Northeast Ohio, right, it's going to be December and it's going to be cold and all that. So it wasn't a big deal. And like I said, some guys really were geared up to wearing half midriff shirts and that and short sleeves and all that. I was a freeze baby. I still had my long sleeves on and everything.
With Baldwin Wallace up 3-0 in the ball game and marching inside the 10, John Sander caught a pitch play and threw it right back to Cerniak for the first touchdown of the game for either school in the Stag Bowl.
And now they want to.
We'd often on Thursday throughout the whole year, we would put a little bit aside for maybe a trick play, something different that we typically wouldn't run, and we would do that every Thursday. And sure enough, when it came time for the Stag Bowl, the first possession we had, we were inside the 10-yard line, and our running back Bob Wujek comes in with a play, and he kind of forgot the name of the play, and he goes, "It's that one where you pitch it to John and then you go out for a pass."
The Yellow Jackets led for most of the game, but Wittenberg held strong as it was 17-10 with about a minute to go. That's when the game-winning touchdown by Baldwin Wallace happened.
It was across the 50, and came to up to the line of scrimmage. It was a 6-2 defense. There it was. We had a 44. The same play was called. Audible to a 48 option. So we faked the dive, roll out, pitched it to John Sander, and I remember to this day him just holding the ball up, running in for a touchdown.
It was the only audible Cerniak ever called in his career. Baldwin Wallace would go on to win 24-10, and when they arrived to Cleveland Hopkins on the flight from Phoenix City, hundreds of fans congratulated them on the biggest win in program history, something that is still to this day. 4 years later, in 1982, the NFL was on strike, and CBS was scrambling to put things on their Sunday window. That's when the brilliant idea of D3 football came into effect. And what do you know, Baldwin, Wallace-Wittenberg in the heartland of America, where Pat Summerall, John Mann, Pat O'Brien were on the call.
You know, they stopped by practice. They had a lot to, they were there earlier trying to get a feel for Wittenberg's campus and the whole Division III atmosphere, I think, with the students and anticipation of it. But, yeah, we got to meet them. Neat guys. You know, these are legends as far as the broadcasting side of it. And you always saw them on television. Now to do one of your games was pretty special.
The game featured many highlights, but for Brian Moore, his best moment was a 70-yard touchdown pass to Lance Kearns.
That was a time when I think we were down at the time. I think we were losing, and we weren't getting a lot of offense. But I think it was a third down, and the receiver Lance Kearns had really great speed. And we had always felt that, if we had an opportunity, he could run by, a corner or two, because he could, he was really quick. And, my whole thing was don't mess it up, and make sure you get out, get back, get rid of it, and lead him and let him run under it. And that's exactly what happened. Is Lance was able to run under it and go the distance.
However, the highlight of the game didn't occur until midway through the fourth quarter, when Steve Varga, a man whose left foot was smaller than his right, was summoned for a then-school record 47-yard try.
I remember pretty vividly is that we were all really, quite frankly, pretty confident in Steve. He kicked a lot of field goals in his time at BW. He had range. He could pop it through from a distance, and Steve was a very confident person. And he'd walk on the field, and he was going to make it. His whole thing was, it's going in. Don't worry, guys.
7 yards out. It is good.
Wittenberg would score a touchdown later in the game and get past midfield on their next drive, but Baldwin held on and prevailed to win 16-14 over their biggest rival.
That provided the margin of victory from 47 yards out. So the ball game is over.
Wittenberg left the OAC in 1989 for the NCAC, meaning that the rivalry would no longer go on a yearly basis. But they did play sporadically in the 90s before going dormant in 1999.
One in 1998, which was here. Unfortunately, we missed 3 extra points and a field goal that night and lost, I think, by a point. And then in 1999, we lost down there. We turned the ball over several times in that game, but they were two great games.
Though the rivalry was never played in the 2000s and 2010s, it will be revived come September 7th thanks to a good talk from BW Athletic Director Steve Thompson and Allie LaForce's dad, that being Allie LaForce of TNT.
So I was at a charity event, and I bumped into Wade LaForce, who's a former Wittenberg football player. His daughter, Allie LaForce, a big sports announcer now. But Wade and I got to talking and a little trash talking between BW and Wittenberg, to which then he called the AD, Brian Agler, and kind of got the ball rolling. So it was a fun, neat little story. And
very privileged and very honored to be part of the Wittenberg, obviously, BW rivalry. I think the last time we played was back in 1988. I know they had obviously battled back and forth in the 70s and 80s. Both obviously 2 great programs. They both had 2 great coaches. And I'm very honored to be able to be part of it in 2024.
And it'll be a great game here at BW. I'm really excited to see it, and I know Coach Herbert will have the Yellow Jackets ready to play the Tigers.